Hey Skeeters, so we're going to be discussing Standard 5C, and that standard states, analyze the way in which a work of fiction is shaped by the narrator's point of view. So the main concept for today is talking about point of view in a fiction text, okay? So we want to be able to take a piece of fiction, which is a fake story, okay, something that's not real, and put it together. How is that piece put together based on the narrator's point of view in that story? Okay, that's what we're looking at today. So, what is point of view? I know you've probably talked about point of view for a very long time, just in reading class and things. So what is that? There are different kinds of point of view. So we've got first person, where it's I. So the pronouns in a first person point of view piece, they're always going to refer to themselves as I. So the main character is the one telling the story. The next one is second person point of view. So this option is the story being told from a you perspective. So like that one time you went on vacation and you went with one of your friends, and you kind of referred to each other in the second person point of view as you. Okay. Third person limited. So there's different types of third person point of view. So third person limited is the story is about he or she. So the storyteller only knows what the character knows and experiences. So he did this, she did that, he said this to her, that kind of thing. So you're standing from a perspective outside of the story, but you only know what the main character knows. Okay, third person limited. Then there's third person omniscient. Okay, and third person omniscient, it's still about he or she, but the storyteller knows everything there is to know about the whole story. Knows all the ins and outs, all the secrets and things like that. The only example I can really think of in that aspect, third person omniscient, is like, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Robin Hood, but there's like a rooster, the cartoon version, there's a rooster at the beginning, and he's singing a song, and he kind of starts the story off and tells the story. And he's kind of the puppeteer of the whole story, kind of knowing everybody's how they're related and connected and things. So, third person omniscient, the narrator is still telling the story from a he/she perspective, but it's they know everything that's going on. Okay, third person omniscient. So now that you kind of know a little background on first, second, and third person point of view, really the only thing is, well, talk about point of view, is the narrator's position in relation to the story being told. Okay. So whoever's telling the story, how they're telling the story is where the point of view comes from. Okay. And I think we can relate this a lot to just real life whenever you are telling a story that you lived versus a story that you saw happening versus a story that your friend is experiencing. All stories might be the same, like the same actual story, but the way they're told brings a different light to it. Okay, so just kind of a little perspective there, or a little point of view, if you will. So the only other thing really to do to kind of help you with this concept, with this standard, is to answer a question. It's pretty straightforward as far as like knowing what the standard is asking of you. But it does state like being able to analyze and being able to identify different parts of the story based on the point of view. So here's an example of what that might look like on a test. So this excerpt is from Chasing Redbird. It's from a Release Star test. And the question is asking, the story is told from the perspective of who? So you're trying to determine, based on what you read in the paragraph, or even like just the story itself, what perspective is being told from. Okay. Let's look at this paragraph and see if we can decide what point of view this is being told from. So, beyond the ash tree was a rose garden, 20 bushes planted by Uncle Nate the year that baby Rose died. Aunt Jessie loved those roses. She could see them from her bedroom window, and that summer she and I would walk through them, counting the blooms. So, the first thing you want to do when you're kind of looking back at a passage about point of view is try to find pronouns and identify what point of view those pronouns are coming from. So actually, we've talked about a couple. There's, which can be kind of confusing, but there's she and then there's I. But you want to determine who's telling the story and what pronoun that is being used in that sense. Okay, so she and I, that's telling me that this person right here, the I, is the one telling the story. So we all know that the pronoun I, is coming from the first person point of view. So if we can kind of narrow that down before we even look at the answer choices, that's going to help a lot. Okay. So now that we kind of know that, let's look at the answer choices. So F, a third person narrator who is not fully trustworthy. So the third person pronouns are he and she. We do see that here, but we already determined that this is not the person telling the story. So F is not the correct answer. G, an omniscient third person narrator. So sometimes the word omniscient is a really big word. It's not one we use every day, and so if you don't know what it means, look it up. Grab you a dictionary and look up the word omniscient. But basically the word omniscient, if you remember the third person omniscient point of view, that's the point of view where the narrator is all-knowing. There's only one narrator, but they kind of are the puppeteer. Remember, they're the one that kind of knows everything, the ins and outs of all the characters and things. So we have she, but that's not necessarily the case here because we're referring to different people, and that's, how do I explain that? There's not an all-knowing factor there, if that makes sense, for the omniscient part. So G is not the correct answer. H, an unreliable first-person narrator. So we could say first person, okay, but this is the key word in this answer choice, unreliable. Not really sure how you could prove that, but that is not the case, okay? So H is not the correct answer. So J, sorry, that line is really bad. J, a first-person narrator who is naive. This part is, you could probably, as you read further into the story, be able to tell, but it's definitely first-person point of view because of this I right here, and we already determined that's where it's from. And this is the firmest answer choice that we have as far as being true. And J is the correct answer. So you just have to use process of elimination and be able to kind of read through the story and justify whatever words are in the answer choice. So point of view. If you have any questions, make sure to ask your English teacher or refer back to this video for some help. We empower, we impact, we love. We are Skeeter Nation.